Yep. Yeah, buddy. All right, so turn on the monitors, turn on my headphones. Snap, snap. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Turn up my mic pre-gain here. Check, check, 1, 2. Hey guys, this is Doctor McFarland, and this is the Tac-O-Bout Gear live stream I do every Tuesday with this squeaky chair, which I have some WD-40 down in the garage. I should probably use that and de-squeak my chair. So tonight we're going to be talking about a new audio interface that I have, but it's much more than an interface. So y'all come on in and we will discuss my new adventures in recording audio land. So many adventures. I'm gonna eat some candy real fast. So y'all come on in, let me know your name, where you're from, and let's talk about interfaces tonight. All things interfaces, whether you have a little Focusrite all the way up to the Apollos or maybe Apogee, or, you know, let me know what kind of recording that you do, or maybe you're looking into getting into recording. And you got some questions about it, so let's talk about it. Let's see what I can do here. Oh, come on. Select. Maybe. No, that's not it. Analog USB network card. Trying to get some effects going here. And I'm not seeing. Very strange. Let's go back to my main menu. Maybe you'll understand what I'm dealing with here. Oh, it's muted. Ah. Check 1, 2. Now, let me see what's going on here. Check 1, 2. Check, check. Let me know if you hear that reverb. The reverb. All right, that's very interesting. Very interesting why I was not seeing. So there's my effects, A through D. Maybe it's not the master effects, which is kind of strange. It's kind of strange. I brought that down. Okay, so that's the effects return. these are effects returns. And in here, they are something. Let's see what these are. They are post. They are set to post. I don't know. All right, guys. Like I said, y'all come on in. We are going to discuss all things audio interfaces. Let me bring down the send to the reverb here. Maybe no. Maybe just a little reverb on the guitar microphone. Something like that. All right, so how am I, let me turn this off. How am I getting all this reverb? Check, I can actually mute it right here. Check 1, 2, check, check. All right, so how am I getting reverb in the live stream? Hopefully you're hearing that. If you're not hearing that, definitely let me know, but you should be hearing it. Let me do this by playing a video here. Yeah. Ooh, that's good. All right, so check this out. Craziness. So that's what I have now is the PreSonus Studio Live Series 3 24 channel mixer. If I look at this picture here, if I move this out of the way. So by looking at this picture, I had this board. When was this taken? That's not the right date. But I had this board into 2021-ish or so. And then I got this wild hair and wanted to try something different. So I did. And for the last few months, I've been using the Apollo system, which has the console on the screen. You can have all the different plugins and stuff, which is really cool. But something about that workflow just didn't sit right with me. And I wanted to have hands-on feel of the faders. So if I go over to my user bank, I now have channel 24, which is a microphone right here. Also have channel 23, which is another microphone. And that one was down. So you should be hearing this microphone. And I have it all going through USB 1 and 2. So that is how you're actually hearing it on the live stream tonight. Now, it looks a little low. I feel like it could be a little louder as far as the overall live stream goes. But let me get rid of this picture here. We're going to go to the default scene. So if you're hearing me okay, leave me a comment in the chat. Let me know. If you hear some reverb, check 1, 2. Yeah. If you hear reverb, then definitely let me know that as well. I can mute the reverb. You know, I can do all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to do some more playing here and see if some more people will show up. This microphone I'm playing into right now is the Stellar X2, which is a little Amazon microphone. And this is the X2 Vintage. And these have, I want to say, like 67 style capsules in them. So they're supposed to sound like a Neumann U67 or something like that. But they're a lot smaller. They can fit into small spaces. And they sound good on my acoustic for sure. All right, now I was trying to get this universal control up and running. So, but it's not showing. It's not showing up for some reason, and I don't know why. Looks like it's in beta. And I chose my interface here. Remote access. I just don't know what that means. When I first installed it on the machine, I was able to bring it up on the screen here, but that is not working for some reason. But anyway, let's talk about interfaces. Let's talk about audio interfaces and some things that you might need for your studio, or jam room, or office in the back of your house, or wherever you decide to have a little setup. Now, for my live streams, I actually use headphones, so I don't get a lot of bleed coming from the speakers into the room, and having the mics pick that up and feeding back. So whether you have actual studio monitors or not, that's not a huge requirement. You can definitely get by with a microphone, some kind of audio interface, and a pair of headphones, and do a lot with that. Let's actually go over to the web here, and we'll go over to old Sweetwater. This is my PreSonus account. I need to register my new board. Let's go here. Let's go to sweetwater.com. And I actually have a wish list here that's also down in the comments of these videos. And see more. Okay, there they are on the side. I got instruments for the studio, quad cortex stuff. So recording studio guide. This is the playlist that you want to kind of check out. Now I have a lot of Apollo stuff in here, And I will talk about that more a little bit later. I have some headphones in this list. I'm actually using the M50s right now. Yeah. The Audio-Technica M50X. Here's some patch-based stuff. Bunch of rack stuff. So I don't have this exactly, but this is the 32X from PreSonus. And if we look at this here, it's basically identical to this, but somehow it can have 32 channels or something. 1632. Yeah, so it's the same layout. Physical faders is what I have, but you can have a lot more inputs on the back. Now, I did get this board used off of Reverb. I actually bought it from Sam Ash. That had it for sale on Reverb there. And so I got a good deal on it. I did not pay anywhere near $3,000. But even $2,600 for a B stock model, that's a good deal, I would say. And maybe some other things on there that are updated as well. But yeah, they kind of got away from the 24 channel version. But this is essentially what I have. It's 25 motorized faders, 24 mic inputs, and it does have a DSP engine on the side. I can do different stuff. It can do DAW control. So if you're wanting to control Logic or Studio One, it will even control mix bus, but it's very limited on that. I can't do panning or anything like that. I can only just control faders. So that might be something you can look into later. Another interface that I have owned is the 16 channel rack version of the same board. So imagine the same processing power just without all the faders, and you can fit it in a rack. So if you like that kind of style of having 16 inputs total, so there's 4 on the back and then 12 on the front. To me, I didn't like having all these cables hanging out the front of the rack that I have. So I wanted something that's very clean and that can be plugged in from the back, so you don't have to show all those cables. Here's a 1810C from PreSonus, which is a USB-C interface. The Arturia stuff, which is really good. The Scarlett, which I just made a video on a few weeks ago, the 18i8. That's actually a pretty good interface. And it sits right on your desktop. And it has 4 mic pre's on the front there. And you got some line inputs on the back. So maybe you have a digital mauler. Maybe you have a keyboard of some sort that you want to plug in. That's usually pretty good. This is a Audient kind of thing. Monitor station, which I had at one time. Here's some microphones. Here's a fader port production controller, which I may end up getting eventually. I mean, it's a pretty good deal for $200, and it'll go along with the Studio Live. But there is a version that can also be an audio interface, which might be very convenient for some people out there. This has a single fader, all your play and stop and fast forward and record. So basic mute and solos. Very cool stuff there. So if anything, I might end up using this as the main interface and then just having this be a controller. Since I can use that knob for panning and maybe controlling some other things on the screen if I want to. I do currently have fader port 16, which was right here in front of me on the desk. But since I'm moving away from the Apollo stuff, not saying it's bad, I'm going a different direction. We're going with more hands-on fader type stuff. Having a single fader controller like that might be cool. I do have a Microlab 25 key little keyboard that usually sits right over here on my left, so I can play in some notes and stuff for singers if they want to kind of figure out a melody. But anyway, let's make a short list here of things you might want to consider when buying an audio interface. And then if you want to use my links in the description of any of my videos, they'll take you to Sweetwater or Amazon, and you can pick up some stuff for your studio. So for instance, let's talk about the number of mic pre's that you might want to consider. Now, the bulk of what I do here in my studio, I mean, it's just me 90% of the time, right? So as long as I have a microphone right here in front of me, Jordan Jobs in the house. So Jordan, let me know if you do any kind of recording, and we will, I can answer some questions about that, okay? So the number of inputs you actually need really is determined by, what you're doing in the studio. If you're sitting at a desk, maybe in a office or family room, or maybe you have a little makeshift studio kind of set up, if you have a single microphone that you can use for your vocal, and then maybe bring it down and you can put it in front of your guitar, maybe you want to slide it over and stick it in front of I got a little, right, here's my Laney speaker, but let's just say I put a microphone in front of a speaker. You can record electric guitar that way, as long as your neighbors don't care and the people in your house don't mind you cranking up an amplifier, right? Which is why most of the time I deal with digital maulers. I have electronic drums. So I just keep the volume down here in the actual room, and I'm not, I really don't have to worry about, noise issues going on. But if you're using at least one mic, maybe two, if you're a singer-songwriter, you might want one in your voice and then another one on your guitar. Maybe you can want to sing and play at the same time. But something, at least two inputs. A 2-channel interface should be plenty for most people. But I like to leave some room for error and for future need. So that's why a 4-channel interface is really what I suggest. The Focusrite that I showed you earlier, the 18i8, is a good option. Let me go back up here, wherever this is. Focusrite 18i8. Let me click on this thing here and show you what I'm talking about. Yeah. So you got 4-channel, you got 4 inputs on the front. You got some inputs on the back. And this also has an optical input, so you can add 8 channels of optical from any device. So that's why I really have the this Audient in the list. So if you want to add 8 channels of mic pre's, this might be a little bit more expensive than what you want to pay, but it's an option. These are pretty decent mic pre's, and they give you a lot of. It has gain and high pass filter on there, which is good. A pad, phase invert, all that stuff. So it does have a sample rate on there. And there's plenty of other options. If you want to ask me about other ADAT options, we can look into that. But just having that ability to add more channels to your core unit, that's always good. The Focusrite is small. You could easily take a computer, the Focusrite interface, maybe a microphone or 2, Maybe if you're going off to a songwriting session somewhere and you want to capture that, or you're having a vacation, maybe at the beach or a cabin, or just wherever you vacation at, and you want to have a little setup there, maybe in your hotel room or the cabin you're staying at, or Airbnb, or wherever, whatever you want. And especially if you're having a podcast, which a lot is very, very popular these days, having at least 4 inputs, so you can have up to 4 different guests, or at least you can have a mic and then 3 other people can have a microphone. Or maybe if you have more than 3 guests, you might want to ask them to share a mic or something. Not a big deal, but 2 is the minimum I would get, but 4 is really ideal. That's a good sweet spot for most people, especially since you can add optical ADAT or an ADAT option, which will give you a total of 12 inputs. And that's more than enough to do a drum session, or maybe a string quartet, or maybe you want to record a full band at one time. So you got minimal drum setup, you got bass, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, maybe a few vocals. 12 inputs can really get you by doing a whole lot. So watch my Focusrite 18i8 video I released a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, and that'll kind of give you a better idea of how I use it here in the studio. What I'm coming off of right now is this X4 unit. Now this is a little bit more pricey, but you get all these plugins that you can use for for real-time processing. You can also add reverb if you want to. You can apply EQ and compression on the way in as you're recording, or maybe if you're live streaming. The Focusrite and the Apollo both have pretty good live streaming setups. That's all I've been using the last year or so, is a mixture between the Focusrite and the Apollo. Of course, I'm streaming right now through the Studio Live 24, and I can go over how to route that kind of stuff in a future video. So yeah, really once you get past the number of inputs you need, and you do want to make sure it has some sort of on-screen mixer, so you can set up a live stream mix, and that usually entails some kind of loopback system or virtual channel, so that way all your inputs are being routed through that virtual channel or loopback, and it allows you to capture that sound either in a DAW or through a live streaming software like I'm using tonight in Ecamm Live. You can do this in OBS. You can do this in Streamlabs OBS, StreamYard. There's a few other ones out there that you can do live streaming with. And you can even do an input into Zoom if you want to use like a real microphone and a really nice camera into like a Zoom meeting. You can have good video and audio in that kind of setup. So yeah, it's really about it. Then once you get that basic setup of a microphone, a computer, an audio interface, maybe a set of headphones, there's some small speakers that I'm not gonna get because I just don't need them right now. These are very reasonably priced, and like this is $349 for the pair. So just imagine that you have these sitting on your desk, especially since they're so small. You can throw them in a backpack or some kind of case or something. So here's an iLab Micro travel bag. So here's like a travel bag you could get with it. I mean, super tiny, right? You can just throw the speakers in there, take them out, throw them on your desk, and you got a good little setup. You can record, you can do some mixing on, pretty much whatever you want to do, wherever you want to do it. So I'm all about being mobile and having a good mobile setup. Now I know this desk or this mixing board in front of me is not that mobile. I mean, I can move it around if I had to, especially going to a cabin or some kind of Airbnb and doing some setting up for recording somewhere else other than this actual studio. But having a small interface, small set of speakers, headphones, some kind of microphone that you can pack away real fast, throw them in a backpack or a small piece of luggage, and just start recording wherever you're at. Especially if you're in a band, like set up band practice somewhere where you can record, even if it's a single microphone set to like omnidirectional, so just kind of picking up everything in the room. You'll never know how important and valuable it is to capture things in real time and then being able to go back and listen, because maybe you're working on a song with your band and you play this magical part that you'll never remember again, but since you've recorded it, you can always go back and reference those band practices. Be like, hey, Jimmy, remember when you played this? Yeah, we're going to write a song around that riff or line or vocal line or whatever they're doing. And hey, before you know it, you got a whole new song or at least a new idea to a song. You can start fleshing out. So it's very important. Even if you're not really into recording or being an actual engineer, which is a very loose term these days. I definitely think of myself nowadays as a producer. The bulk of my engineering is just like it's literally just pushing buttons. Like, all right, I'm going to start recording. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to rewind. I'm going to play, stuff like that. There's obviously some things I do on the screen as far as editing goes. But audio engineering today in the modern world is nothing like it was back in the 60s and 70s when you had this really early, well, not super early, but you had more tape machines and you had big mixing boards and you really had to know your stuff. And nowadays, you get a little Amazon microphone, stick it about the 12th to 14th fret on a guitar, and it sounds pretty good. You can do a lot with that. So let's see what we got on the comments here. Hey man, nice content. Found your channel a couple of days ago. Keep going. You're very knowledgeable and have a relaxing personality. Thank you for everything. Thank you very much, The Fallen. Let me know what your actual name is, so next time you're on, I can say hi. Tonight we're pretty much talking about audio interfaces / small recording setups that you can have for your room, vacation type setup, wherever you want. So let's look at some reviews of this thing. The iLoud Micro Monitored Travel Bag. Oh, sorry, that's the travel bag. I don't want the travel bag. I want the actual speakers. There we go. 101 reviews. So I'm sure you can get a pretty good idea. Excellent for both travel and small spaces. So that's good. Moved around a lot while working as a writer for Shanghai recording artist. She bought a set of IK Multimedia iLouds to use in a small side room. I was exceedingly surprised how easy they are to mix with. When I'd finished a demo for her to hear, I take it to her studio's Genelecs and the mix translated well, even lows. Unfortunately, someone stole them. That's not good. So lately, when I needed a tiny set of monitors and remembering the sound size and weight, I bought another pair. Considering the lower price and usefulness of these circumstances. Yeah, that's a lot of good feedback in there. So, checking out some photos here. Yeah, I mean they're tiny, very very small. But hey, if they sound good, that's really all that matters. This guy's got 3 sets of monitors in his studio. See, 3 sets of monitors in a room that's pretty much untreated makes little sense to me. Like, his monitors are right up against the wall. He needs to bring those back at least a foot And maybe put some acoustic panels back there to kind of deaden some frequencies bouncing off the wall and stuff. Yeah, really small speakers. They are tiny. All right, well, anyway, enough about speakers. Let me know if you have any questions about interfaces. I kind of like the white ones. These are cool. And these are the kind that you basically daisy chain from one speaker to the next. So here's the right speaker. And you just take a cable and go out of the right one into the left one. You know, that kind of thing. You can get into the MTM option, which is going to be $400 for one speaker, so about $800 for the pair. It's a little bit of a price jump, but not a big deal. In my live stream, I have a shotgun mic right over my head, pointing down at my head here, and I have a microphone in front of me. So which I do have a session on Thursday. It's going to be a vocal session, doing 2 songs for a singer-songwriter out of New York. And so that's really fun, being able to do that kind of stuff. And like I said, I don't do tons of engineering, but I do use my music background and my knowledge of music theory to help with songwriting, help with arrangement, making sure the tracks do sound like they need to for the final mix. But these are mainly like demo type stuff, so we're not going for we're not going for the Grammy by any means, but they do sound really good. They do end up sounding good, so I'm not too concerned about that. Let's look at another interface that's kind of popular. SSL has what do we have here? I think it's at 12. Yeah, this kind of thing. So this is a 4-channel interface. And if you look at the back, it has 4 inputs total, and then it has 4 outputs. It has a 5-pin MIDI cable. It does have an ADAT in, so like I said before, you can add up to 8 channels, or you can add 8 channels of ADAT, making this a 12-channel interface. And it looks like it's just bus powered, so you don't have to have a separate power supply for this, plugging into a wall. You can just have your computer and then plug it into your computer, and it powers the interface from the juice of the computer. So that is kind of convenient if you need to do some mobile stuff, maybe out in the hayfield somewhere, or maybe in a tunnel underneath the road. Just thinking of like some random places you can go recording. And having something that's bus powered is definitely very nice to have. That's about $400. That's a pretty good deal. The Audient Evo 8. See what we got here. I do have this unit. It's currently at work. But the reason why I got this is it's bus powered, and it's got 2 headphone outputs, which is really cool. And it has 4 microphone inputs. So this would be great for a little podcast, like mobile podcast kind of setup. Just bring your computer, this interface, maybe some microphones. This is the Rode Pod mic. And you see these kind of switched out back and forth between the Shure SM7B and the Rode Pod mic. They're both very, very popular microphones to choose from when you're doing a podcast. There's also the RE20 from Electro Voice. all kinds of, voiceover type microphones that are really good. So yeah, the Evo 8 is a good deal. Another really good deal is the Evo 16. I didn't type that right. I'm trying to think of like some cheap options. Well, not cheap, but just inexpensive options that you can consider. Now for $549, this gives you actually 8 channels or 8 total inputs and 8 total line outputs. And it does give you 16 channels of additional optical inputs. So that's really crazy. And I think it's a pretty good deal, actually. If I didn't want to have physical faders here in front of me, I would definitely go for something like this. Because for $549, that's a really good deal. And you can also expand. You can expand this up. It does have a smart gain feature. So it's essentially you press the green button, then you just start playing, and all the inputs that you have plugged in start automatically dialing up to the proper gain structure, which is really neat. And they recently came out with some actual ADAT. Let's see what they got here. They came out with some ADAT extensions. That's not the ASP options. I don't see them on here though. Okay, there it is. This is the SP8 Smart Preamp. So for $500 instead of $549, you can have the main unit, which gives you 8. Then you can add on an additional 8 for a total of 16. But if you added one more of these, that would give you a total of 24 inputs, which is pretty good. That's a pretty good deal. So you could either be, you can be deep in for about, so the initial 8 would be for 24 channels, you'd have about $1,500 in just on audio interfaces. These can be rack mounted. You could even have a small rack that you could have all 3 units in, and then maybe a headphone amp below that. So maybe like a 4U or a 6U rack unit you can just carry around. Set your computer on top, plug in the cables to your computer, start plugging in your microphones, and before you know it, you're recording a full band with 24 inputs, or up to 24 input total, anywhere you want. And I think it's a pretty good deal. So still got some people just watching, but not a lot of comments coming in, which is fine. How long have I been going here? About 45 minutes. I personally, I'm working through some demos right now. I'm trying to finish a full album for a client I've been working with for a few years now. I think COVID kind of slowed us down, and also some other issues slowed us down. But we're on the tail end of this thing, trying to crank out about 12 to 14 songs to put on a full album. So I don't know, a physical CD as well. So that's kind of what I work on when I'm not making videos. And also when I'm not at work, and also when I'm not, enjoying my wife and my kids and all the other stuff that I do. I try to crank out tunes for people making demos. Whether that's singer-songwriter, I do a lot of stuff on Fiverr.com. Whether that's dobro recording, or I critique song lyrics, and just a slew of all kinds of stuff that I try to do here in the studio. So having this new Studio Live board It is a live mixer, but since it has a USB audio connection to a computer, it can be an interface as well. And that's exactly how I'm using it. So let me bring up a session. Let me bring up a session here of old Mixbus version 9. You can kind of see what I deal with in the recording software world. Mixbus 32C. It's thinking. All right, so for instance, just make a new session here. I can choose a template, which is this will be a demo session. I can press open. My input and output device is a Studio Live 24. That could be if you're using a Focusrite, you'd want to choose your Focusrite for your in and out. If you're using an Apollo unit or an SSL or whatever you have, you also want to make sure you choose a sample rate, which could be 44.1 or 48. It could be higher depending on your interface. The Studio Live only goes up to 48, so that's the one I have the option for. And then buffer size is 1024. So just press start. And that's right. So I did not have, I didn't choose where to put this thing. And that's my bad. That is my bad. All right, see, it says new session. So create session folder in. I'm actually going to go to other, Lacey Audio, which is the name of my hard drive here. Mixbus sessions. Doctor McFarland. And I'll just make a brand new session. And we're going to start. Okay. So I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to record a track here. So you can see how all this works. I'm going to have to move this over to the side. Like so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to make some tracks. At least one audio track. Call it acoustic guitar. Press record. You can see some audio jumping up and down. I got the input going. And this acoustic is going to be on channel 24. So I set my input there. You can also see, oh, this is an older version. This is slightly older. Pay no regard to the sins right there. But anyway, I do need to change something here real fast though. System settings. Sometimes this gets turned off and I don't know why. But I like having the high dynamic range turned on. It makes it a little bit more brighter to look at, and the dial is not so dark looking. I am using a 50-inch TV for this, and here we go. Now I will change the output of the DAW to 31 and 32, which I have these faders right here in front of me. And I have a DAW output, I have a computer output, which is my YouTube audio or Tidal or like Spotify, stuff like that. Here, I will have those plugged into separate inputs on the back, and then I can assign one fader to the user bank. So I can have one fader that controls up to two faders because they're actually gained together. So with all that said, that is the basics of the ins and outs of a DAW. This is your edit window, and I can go in and just start playing along. Maybe I turn on the click track here. It's always smart to play with the click if you can. And here we go. So I'm going to do Shift Spacebar to start recording. And I see what's happening here. My click is not routed to the same output. I want this to be... Oh, I see. Hold on. 24. Miscellaneous, click out, hardware. Actually, that's not too bad. I can leave that on channel 1 and 2, and it should show up here on the fader, which means I can also adjust the level of the fader. Select USB. There we are. Right, so I can adjust the level of the fader there, or the metronome. Now, the next thing you gotta ask yourself is, how fast do I want this song? So if I tap it in, going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So that's about 80 BPM, so I'm gonna type that in to be exact, and then start recording. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and ready, go. Okay, now that I've recorded some, go. Okay, that's pretty good. I can edit the front of this by moving that up a little bit. And I can trim the end of it here. So bar 15. And trim that off. Maybe do something like that, and then I can just start duplicating. So there's 4 different sections right there. Then I now have something I can play to. There we go. All right, so for example, man, that reverb. I'm actually going to, since this has the same input that I want, I'm going to duplicate this track and make a new playlist. And now unarm the first one, arm the second one, and now maybe do some pre-roll recording. Or I can just start in right here. Go. All right, cool. So let me mute the effects here. So you can see that just with one microphone, I mean, I know I have my overhead one. I'm using this one for my guitar though. So just with one microphone and one mic input, you can just keep layering track after track after track and really do all that you want. It's not until you need to have a stereo recording or you want to record multiple people with multiple microphones when you actually need a multiple input interface. So like I said before, I suggest at least four. Well, sorry, at least four. I'm going crazy. At least two. You need at least a 2-channel interface. And then if you want to be more flexible, you really want a 4-channel interface, like the Apollo, like the Focusrite, like the Evo 8 that I showed you earlier. Tons of other interfaces out there that have at least four inputs. And then, but let's say, for example, I want to record Aaron Short's in the house. Whatever your name. This is Mixbus 32C, and it gives you the look of a mixer on your screen, which is great. You got EQ, compression, gates. You got your sands already on there, which is this is an older version, so it has like a bug in there, but I'm not too worried about that. You also have your mix buses you can route your tracks to. You got tape drive on there. You got a master bus compressor, all kinds of drive knobs, K14 meters. Looks like a real mixer. Michael Ruiz is in the house, so howdy. What was I going to do? Okay, I'm going to record a stereo. We'll call this hello. What's up, Doc? You know it. I'm just over here talking about audio interfaces. Alright, so let's record in. Let's go to my input here. And my computer audio is coming back on 29 and 30. So I'm going to choose that in my input. And then just to be safe, I'm going to go to my website here, which the back end is podia.com. This is the website I use to host my website and all my products that I have for sale. So if you're interested in learning more about music theory, recording, headrush stuff, you're going to buy some backing tracks to practice along with, this is where you do all that. So we're going to go to Doctor's Prescribed Backing Tracks. We're going to go to Edit. We're going to click on just something here. Let's do like the Super Funk in G. View lesson. So all these backing tracks is a one-time or a once-a-year payment of $20 and gets you 52 weeks of backing tracks. And then I'm going to do it all again next year of another 52 weeks of backing tracks. So once a year, $20. It's a good way to donate to the channel and to get a lot of cool backing tracks to play along with. So Aaron Short is ordering a Kiesel. Uh-oh, we're going to have to talk about that one. I actually have a Kiesel on the way coming Friday. Yeah, it'll be here Friday. So it was actually the guitar that I put in an order for back in March. But it does take anywhere from 14 to 22 weeks to finish. So it was definitely a few months of waiting time, but I think it'll be well worth it. But Aaron, let's talk before you order a Kiesel. Let me know what kind of model you're going for, and we can work on. If you want my help, I can help you decipher some options to look at there. So anyway, I'm gonna play this Super Funk Groove in G minor. 3 and 4. right, so you should hear that on the live stream. But you can also see it coming up here in the DAW. So now I can record this. My computer's being slow. There we go. So I can turn this down and it'll still record the same volume in the DAW there. So as that's recording, what this is useful for and how you can use this with other interfaces is as long as you have a loopback channel or some kind of virtual channel, you can route audio from your computer back through that loopback or the virtual channel. You can record audio into any DAW that you want, whether that's Pro Tools, Cubase, Nuendo. Those are real Steinberg options. Obviously Luna, Logic, Mixbus 32C, whatever DAW that you have, and it's a very easy way to record songs off of YouTube if you want to do stuff like that. So that is a good way of doing it. And but just really any audio source that you want to capture from your computer, you can do it this way. So now if I press stop and then go to my website here and press stop on there, we can close this out. And there we are. Now, I did a test stream 2 nights ago when I first got all this set up. And when I played music back from I think I was playing it back from YouTube. I thought I was hearing the audio just fine, but when I went back and listened to the live stream, the audio is very, very low from what I thought I was actually hearing it at. So I was kind of confused by that, why it was a different level in my ears versus what you would be hearing as the audience. So let me know if you actually heard all that balanced like I did. Maybe the music kind of could have went up a little bit more, but I'm not sure. I am not sure. Maybe Aaron's pulling my leg that he's ordering a Kiesel. Actually, let me go to... this might be dangerous. Let me close this real fast. I saw a very cool Kiesel today that I thought just looked really sharp. This will pull up here. Let's go to Kiesel. Dun, da, 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 da. No, that's the group. Kiesel guitars. Yeah, I want to show you this real fast because I thought it was just really neat. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, check this out. Check this out, man. So this is a Lyra. It's kind of a blend between a Delos and a Fender Strat style body, but it has this really cool cutaway right here where your arm goes, and it's just a good bevel, very comfortable bevel. But they definitely wanted this to be all white, so they got white inlays for the fretboard, white headstock, mother of pearl tuning knobs. This is a raw tone body with kind of like a washed out see-through kind of finish. You can see all the wood grain there. HSS pickup configuration, 24 frets, 24 stainless steel frets, and I think that's a Godo trim system. It's got mother of pearl dots on the top of the volume and tone knobs, and roasted maple neck and fretboard. That just looks sick. That looks really cool. So maybe tomorrow they'll have the guitar that I should be getting in the mail on Friday. Maybe they'll post that. But yeah, all kinds of options there to consider. But hey, maybe you're just pulling my leg, which if you are, shame on you. The Fallen says that sounds great at my end, so that's good. I'll definitely go back and listen to this live stream. Just hit a few spots to make sure everything sounded the way it sounded good in my headphones, but sometimes it doesn't translate over to the live stream world very well. All right, so just to reiterate, you want an interface that has the minimum of 2 inputs, but better yet, if you can have 4. Get yourself a microphone, get some headphones, maybe some of those small IK Multimedia iLoud speakers for like your desktop, if you want to play back stuff out of speakers instead of using headphones. And get yourself a DAW, whether that's Studio One, Pro Tools. I prefer Mixbus 32C, but that's just me. You can use whatever you want. And the most important thing is just start making music if you don't already. Or if you're a singer-songwriter and you just need a way to capture the songs that you write, then having a small setup like this would be great. And you'll do a lot of cool stuff with that setup. So, okay. All right, that's all the comments we have for now. Thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks for the 3 people that gave me a thumbs up. If you want to help support the channel, be sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell. Go to my website to purchase products that that interest you over there, whether that's music theory, recording, headrush stuff, backing tracks. You can download headrush rigs, Kemper profiles, and fractal presets or rigs, whatever they call them. And that all goes help to support the channel and eventually fund my retirement. So, which will not happen anytime soon. I'll be working for a very long time, which is perfectly fine. That's the American way. So, thanks guys for watching. I'm Dr. McFarland. I'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.